Steve, can you hear me, mate?
I can hear you loud and clear, Dan.
Hey, we
How
are
you doing?
live, Steve, by the way. Just letting you know.
Good.
We
Oh,
get
it's
straight
always good
into
to
it.
be live.
Sorry, what was that,
Always,
mate?
always good to be live.
That is it. I just got to fiddle with your screen here. That's my bad. You're cutting off to the left. How are you, mate?
Uh, I'm doing fine, thank you. And how about yourself?
Very well, now that you're here, mate.
Where
Uh,
am I? Where are I know you're in Australia, but where precisely?
I'm in Melbourne. Have you ever been?
Ah, yes. I was there 2 years ago. There was a convention in Adelaide, and both Taylor and I were there for a few days. Had a wonderful time.
Tell me you
Had
loved
a
it.
I did love it. I had a close encounter with a kangaroo that was a little uncomfortable, but
Ooh.
but it all
Whoa,
worked out
whoa.
fine.
You got to tell me about this. You can't leave me
Well,
hanging.
they have with there's that zoo park. I
Yep.
forget what it's called in Adelaide,
Yep.
but it's open. It's an open area. You just walk around, and there's kangaroos, and there's all kinds of exotic creatures.
Yeah.
And and I wasn't really into feeding the kangaroos. They can get they give you food if you want to feed them, and I didn't. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. And but the people that I were with were into it, and they so after a while we're there for a while, and I thought, okay, so I got some food, and I'm kind of standing off to one side, kind of by myself in this little area of the park, and from about 100 yards away, I see this kangaroo obviously coming in my direction. There is nobody else around. He's making a beeline for me, and I'm thinking, well, this is going to end very badly, or it's going to be a charming little story. Fortunately, he came up, and we're eye level. I mean, those, they can be big, as you know.
Yeah.
And we're standing there eye level, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and then he looks down at the food I'm holding, as if to say, "Dude,
Oh, that's
give it
mine.
up."
Yeah.
So I did, and we
Right.
parted as friends. So it all, like I said, it had a happy ending, but it was a little nerve wracking there at the beginning.
Well, hopefully we can get you back, mate, for one
I'd
of the
love to.
cons coming up.
Mm. I've been to the Adelaide. I've been to Sydney a couple times, although never not on business.
Yeah.
But I've done a couple of cons in Auckland, New Zealand, that were fun. So
Yeah.
I am familiar with the route. So hope I'd love to get down under again. It would be fun. I
Are,
love
are,
the people down there, and I love the country.
are the cons starting to open back up, mate? Like, are you starting to book more cons now that COVID's sort of, yeah?
We are now. My first one will be next in a few weeks, actually, January in Sacramento, California.
Beautiful.
Sac Anime, it's called. I've been there a few times. It's a great con, but I actually have one booked almost every month for the coming year. Hopefully, I mean,
Beautiful.
think things can go south here in a hurry, as we all know. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that
Yeah.
we can hold on here and finally beat this thing. I don't know that we're ever going to beat it, but I if we can at least manage it and get on with our lives, it would be nice.
There's a lot of people in here that can't believe we're talking to Master Chief today. And they're just getting acquainted with the voice, because you hear the voice for 20 years, and then the man behind the voice, it can be a strange thing, but then the mate,
It's sort of an out of body experience,
yeah, 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 yeah,
or out of game anyway.
yeah. Well, look, mate, it is an honor to talk to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time today. Everyone's very excited. My first question is, how are you feeling after this game? Because it's been a long time coming, and it's getting rave reviews.
Thank God. I mean, it has been. You're right. It's been a long time coming, and for a variety of reasons, COVID being one of them. But quite honestly, there was some challenges in getting the game to the place where everybody thought it should be, and so it has been a long, sort of an uphill push. But the fact that it's come out, and I knew it, uh, obviously I've sort of had an inside track on how things were going, and I was so excited, and yet had to be so restrained in the excitement because I knew it was going to be a good game, and I knew it was visually it was going to be up to par. And most importantly for me, I knew that the storyline was going to be an exciting storyline, and one that we could all be proud of. And it's just so gratifying to see the fans react to it in this overwhelmingly positive way. I've when we when I first started doing Master Chief with Bungie,
Mm.
um, I was sort of removed from the process, and there weren't all these big conventions that people were going to. And I mean, I didn't attend a convention, I think, till after Halo 3, maybe. Um,
Why was that? Was that any reason why, or
well, first of all, there weren't that many.
yeah?
Number one, number two, I was still working full time as a disc jockey at a radio
That's
station. And
right. Yeah. Yep.
it was kind of tough to get away, and
Yeah.
so my boss wasn't real keen on the idea of me taking a few days off to fly to Melbourne or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that was part of it, and the other part of it, Dan, was me getting used to what this community is all about, and
Yeah.
that took some time because I'm not an active gamer. I don't really play the games. It took me a while to sort of understand what this culture was all about, and now, of course, that I embrace it fully, but it took a while. So my point is that I loved Halo 4. It is my favorite game of the series.
Wow.
Halo Infinite may surpass that. Well, we have to let that sort of stew for a while,
Yeah.
but Halo 4 was my favorite because of the storyline and a lot of
The
other reasons.
emotion.
The emotion. Jen Taylor and I got to work together in the same room for the very first time, so there's a lot of emotional uh, baggage, if you will, that's attached to that game
Mm.
that makes it special for me. But it had mixed reviews, and Halo 5 even more so. And so, this is my first experience of having, the game out of the box be embraced so fully by the community. And, I think all of our first reactions were this collective sigh of relief, and and then a joy that all the hard work that it put into. And Dan, I get, being a voice actor for it, it's not the hardest job in the world. I'll be honest with you, but the guys who are behind the scenes, who put this game together and work years and
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours, for them to be rewarded this way, in a positive reaction to what they put into it, that's what I'm most proud of, and that's what I feel the best about, because I know how hard these people work, night and day, men and women, and to have it go well, is a joy to see.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Halo 4 was your favorite, and I've publicly said that this game, I believe, rivals that game in terms of the emotion and especially the emotion we see from Chief in this one. How did you tackle this one differently to the other projects, the other Halos?
I think it was. I would say that were it not for what we did with Halo 4, I may not have been able to get to where I wanted to be with Halo Infinite, if that makes any sense.
Mm.
Halo 4 was, when I first read the script for it, I was so excited because I thought, this is where I always hoped we could go.
Mm.
And I always thought that after Halo 3 and Reach, that there was such a rich story that was untapped, with the relationship between the chief and Cortana, and the whole community and the military aspect of it. And I just thought there's all this material that we haven't even touched yet. And then I saw the script for 4, and I could see that we were going to go there. So I feel like that was a good, um, it was a good way for me to dig deep into the psyche of Master Chief. And then with Halo Infinite, that reemerged, and it is interesting. One of the real gratifying things is that so many people are reacting to the game, to the campaign in that way.
Mm.
That and then bringing in the weapon and the pilot and all these new characters and it's really exciting for people to, because I thought that when I was doing it, but sometimes you think what you see and what other people may see could be two different things, because sometimes I'm too close to it and I
Yeah.
may read things into it that other people don't. But it's really gratifying to hear people say that, because I think it is a tremendous story, and I love I love that people love it. Let's put it that way.
I have to say I thought it was possibly your best performance as the character ever.
Thank you. Thank you. I will.
Will you take
I,
that
I, I,
compliment?
I, yeah. I don't. I'm an old Irish Catholic boy, Dan. So, I don't take compliments that easily.
Yeah.
But, uh, but first of all, thank you, and secondly, I think I agree with you. Um, every time I've done not just Halo, any sort of voice acting, um, or even when I was on the radio, it was most of the time that when I would listen back to what we did, or I'd watch the cutscenes in the early games, I'd always come away with, oh man, that could
Critiquing
have been.
yourself.
Yeah, boy, I'd like to have another crack at that. And I wish in Halo 1 and 2, I had a bad cold when we did both of those, and I can so hear it when I go back and listen to those games. I was like, it could have been so much better. Uh, and I've felt that way in almost everything I've ever done. But I have to say, I watched all of the cutscenes for Infinite. I don't know, the day after the
On
game
my
came out.
channel, of course.
Of
Steve.
course, I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Needless to say,
Thank you.
and I mean, where else would I watch it? Uh, and I came away feeling satisfied.
Yeah.
I liked, I won't say that I thought, wow, you were great, but I thought I was happy with
You were
my
happy. You're
performance.
proud.
I was proud. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say it. I'll say it. I'm proud.
Thank you. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Joseph here says, Steve, I love your performance as the Master Chief. You do a great job at showing the Master Chief's human side in this game.
Yeah,
And that's
and I have to give credit to Paul Crocker. Paul co-wrote the story and directed me in 95% of the sessions that I did. And what was great about him is that um, I had, he understood the character. First of all, he understood the character as well as I did, and he also trusted me uh, to approach him in the way that I felt best. So it wasn't like every decision that I made he just agreed with. That was
it
hardly
was a
the case.
collaborative process.
It
Yeah.
was, I felt it was a real collaboration, um, and not to diss any of the directors that I've worked with in the past, but Paul was something special, and he really, I told him this the other day. I said, you brought out the best work I can do, and so I have to give him a lot of credit for helping me in that way.
That's amazing. I was talking to Nicholas Roy just yesterday, who plays the pilot,
Mm-hmm.
one of the newer characters in the game, and he had
Does a
nothing.
fabulous job.
He really does. He had nothing but nice things to say. He said you did get to spend a couple of days together, I think,
We did.
when you
Yes.
came in and watched and that sort of thing. But the scene that I pointed out to him was that emotional scene where he gets on his knees and Chief
Mm.
also gets on his knees. You know that scene?
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's just an amazing scene. To walk us through that when you first saw that on the script and how you approached that scene.
Well, it was, yeah, it was a very, the chief had to and this happened a lot in Infinite, and it happened somewhat in Halo 4 too.
Mm.
The chief, the character is uh, for him to emote in that way, to let that side of him come out, is a challenge for him, because he wasn't raised that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was raised for one reason and one reason only: to be a super soldier and to save the planet. And Halsey didn't really care about his emotional side, and so those emotions are ones that and that would come out mostly in his dealings with Cortana. So in the dealings with the pilot, um, you know, you sort of come at it from a different place, and my feelings were that you know the pilot and the chief needed each other.
Mm.
And so the chief couldn't be dismissive of him, even though the pilot, from time to time could be a pain in the ass. he's he's constantly wanting to like get out of there. But the chief needed him, and obviously he needed the chief. So to
Yeah.
me, that was a little come to Jesus moment where Master Chief had to reassure him that he was going to be okay, he was going to be all right, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to do it together. And I think the relationship between those two characters changed at that moment, when it was no longer a I don't want to say adversarial, but it was
Yeah. Friendship in a way. Friendship.
yeah,
Yeah.
in a way, and it also established trust between the two characters, and I think that's what I was trying to go for when we were doing that, is try to convey uh, a trust, that the chief had a trust in him, and that he should trust the chief, you know,
Mm.
to get us through this. So that's where I was trying to get with that.
Does it make it harder? I will get to your questions, guys. Keep them coming through the super chat. I will get to them shortly. There's a lot of questions coming in here, Steve.
Mm.
I want to know: is it difficult for you because you didn't do the motion capture for this game?
Mm.
Does that make it more difficult for you?
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to give a Master Chief salute to Bruce Thomas, who does the motion capture for Master Chief, and has done it since Halo 4. And
I'll tell him that tomorrow. I've got him on
Olga, you're
tomorrow.
going to talk to him, give him my
Yeah.
best, and tell him he still owes me a golf game. We tried to get one together this summer when he was down in my neck of the woods, and we couldn't happen. It couldn't happen. So I'm hoping that we can reschedule that. But Bruce, uh, he's kind of an unsung hero
Mm.
in this, because obviously you never see him and you never hear him, but the emotion and the feelings that he conveys by simple body movements is a skill that's not to be dismissed. And when we were doing Infinite, I had the pleasure of watching uh, Bruce and Jen Taylor perform some scenes together, in a big dark room, and they got
Mm.
all these little dots all over them, and working through these scenes, and I literally was a fly on the wall for it. And first of all, it helped my performance of those scenes greatly, to watch it be acted out, to see what Bruce was doing, with his body and his movements, and how I could project my voice onto that so that it would all make sense. And plus the fact he's just a hell of a nice guy. So
He is. He
it's
is.
yeah, he's a great guy, and he does a fabulous job. And like I said, he doesn't get enough credit for bringing the chief to life.
So, what would you say the biggest difference is from the first time you stepped into the booth and voiced the character to now? Besides,
Mm.
just the experience of it all, and I guess the more emotional side. Is there anything else that stands out to you? A big difference in the character, or even your approach?
Well, my approach between Combat Evolved and Infinite I mean, where do I begin?
It's been
It's
a few
like
years.
it's been a few years. I mean, I was a very different person 20 years ago, as we all were.
Yep.
Um, the game was a very different game. I mean, we were in uncharted waters there. Nobody had any idea that this was going to blow up the way it did.
No. Yeah.
And so I approached it. I'll be honest with you, Dan.
Yeah.
I, I approached it casually. You
Yep.
know,
Because you didn't know.
I didn't know. I had done one other game with Marty O'Donnell, who was the gentleman who did all the voice casting, wrote all the music for the Bungie games, was instrumental in how those games, came out. And so I owe Marty everything.
He wrote the iconic score, the iconic theme.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Which is still alive today.
Oh, I was just playing it
And
earlier. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. And so but it was a very Marty kind of would walk me through the story and who the character was and what the Halo universe was all about. And and then we take it from there. And he gave me some cues, and off we went. So you go now, jump ahead 20 years into the future, and here we are, having done this character for off and on for 20 years. I approach it in a much more intimate is the word that comes to mind. I feel an intimate connection with him, where in the beginning I did, okay, yeah, well, sound like a tough guy, and we'll approach it that way, and I get it. He doesn't say much. I mean, the direction Marty gave me in the beginning was Clint Eastwood. He said
That's
think
right.
of Clint Eastwood in the old spaghetti westerns, and so that's where I came from, in doing the character. But now, I feel a kinship with this character that is personal in a way. To be honest with you, it's you can't be with. I don't care who it is, whether it's a animated pretend character or somebody in real life. When you're with them for 20 years, you kind of develop a thing, and
Yeah.
so the chief and I, he's I find him to be a fascinating, interesting, admirable character, and it's an honor to represent him in a vocal way.
Like they've obviously never shown Chief's face. I've always said I'd love it if it was your face, Steve. I've always said that. That would
Well, thank
be
you.
that would be amazing to me. Like that'd be the way to go. I think a lot of people agree here too. But
Well,
um,
that's very kind of you to say. But I've always come from the place that his face should never be
never be
revealed.
revealed. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's part of what has made it's part of his mystique.
Mm,
And I think there were two things very intentional done, and I can't confirm this, but I believe it to be true. Um, when they were developing what Master Chief would look like, A, you would never see his face, and B, when you looked into his visor, you saw a reflection of yourself.
I
And
love that.
so
Yeah.
the point being that you are Master Chief. And if they would have created a face, whether it was my face or anybody's face, an animated,
Yeah.
uh, caricature, um, I think it would remove the player, maybe by a few degrees, from being able to be Master Chief. And so
So you politely disagree with me.
well, if they were going to reveal his face, sure, might as well be my mug. But I think it's better that
Yeah.
they leave it the way it is.
Now I'm battling with something, Steve, because I'm looking forward to the new series on
Mm.
Paramount, but then I was told that your voice isn't in it, so I'm a little bit hesitant now. How does that feel for you? Because I don't think the character's ever been done before without your voice. Am I wrong? Or
No, well, there was an animated series that
okay,
I did not do.
okay,
Halo. What was the piece? Now I'm forgetting the name. That
someone will
came
know
out.
in here. I've forgotten
Yeah,
it as well. Yeah.
in advance of Halo Guardians, I believe, and it took place in a period of time before Combat Evolved, and they wanted somebody who sounded younger to
Halo
do Master Chief.
Legends, people are
Thank
saying.
you,
Yeah.
Halo Legends. Yes. Um, See, these people know everything.
They know everything. We can ask them
All I have
anything.
to do is just keep up.
Yeah. We can
They know
ask
I'm
them
busy.
literally anything. They'll
I
know.
know. So, yeah, there was another guy. I don't remember his name at the moment. Uh,
Yep.
but so when it became obvious that the live action series was finally going to happen after all these years of fits and starts and close calls, it was finally going to happen. I knew I wasn't going to be the character. I mean, somebody asked me the other day, "What does your who has no familiarity with uh, Halo?" And he said, "What does your character look like?" And I said, "Well, he's about 8 feet tall and he has no body fat, and I don't qualify on either one of those." So, the only way that I could have been a part of it is if they chose not to reveal his face, and then obviously we'd do it just like we did the game, and I would voice him, and somebody else would be in the suit.
Yep.
They've chose not to go that way, and Pablo Schreiber is going to represent Master Chief, and I'm sure he'll do a phenomenal job, and I can't wait to see it. My friend Jen Taylor is going to be in it, and she's going to be Cortana, and so she keeps me abreast of how things are going on the set and all that. So I'm really excited about when it comes out, and I think Pablo will do a tremendous job. But and they have said this. The people, Kiki Wolfkill, who's the sort of the link between 343 and the production company who's doing the series, has said, this is going to be a different Halo experience. It's not going to be an exact duplication of the events of the game.
Mm.
And I think, in a lot of cases where video games have gone to the big screen, many of them have not been successful because they don't make that transition and understand that you're using a different medium now. And so you have to approach it differently. So I think, and the other thing is you have to appeal to people who have no clue what Halo's all about. They've never played the game. They don't know nothing about it. This is just some new series that's going to be on TV, and I'm going to watch it. A prerequisite for that cannot be, well, you have to have played Halo to understand what's going on. There's got to be room for those people to be able to
As Master Chief throughout all these years, can I please get a finish this fight?
What did he leave a name?
Zane.
Zane. Finish the fight.
It never gets old. I know you've probably said
Never
that.
gets old. Thank God.
Yeah, I know. You've said that line. I don't even want to know how many times you've said that
Oh my
line.
God. You have no idea. And we say it again in Infinite.
Oh, you do too. Is that, and that's the
Yeah,
first time since Halo 2,
Since
yeah?
right, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
had chills when you said it, man, in this game.
Yeah.
That final
Yeah.
scene, that whole final scene where they reveal their names and everything,
Yes.
it was just so uplifting. You've seen the cutscenes, haven't you?
Yes. Yes, I
It's
have.
just the
On
music.
your stream, by the way. Did I mention that?
Yeah, you did. The music and the feeling of it, it's just, I don't know, it just hit a bit of nostalgia as well, I think.
Well, it did, and that was the interesting thing in that, there were two objectives here, and I would always hesitate to. So when I was talking about the game before the game actually came out, people say, well, "What's it like?" and what
Yeah.
all that. And I would say, for people who have been longtime fans of the game and whose favorite games are Halo 2 and 3, which is about everybody, I would say, I think, you're going to like this game. If you liked Halo 2 or 3, I think you're going to like this game. But it also honors the story down the line with where the
Where
story
it's
went with
going.
4 and Guardians. So,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was
yeah.
a connection there. So nostalgia is not a word I would necessarily use, but maybe familiarity and maybe the comfort of, which may be what nostalgia is that comfort of, you know, almost coming home in a way.
Mm.
And the war and the feelings that you got, 10 or 20 years ago with that game were sort of reignited in a way. And that's what I think was the genius of the way this thing was constructed, is they were able to tap both of those while still honoring, you know,
Yeah.
the progression of the story.
Which is not an easy thing to do
Not an
for the
easy thing to
writers,
do.
seriously.
That's why it took 6 years, for God's sake.
And yeah, and there was a delay. I'm really thankful they delayed it as well. Obviously with
I think
COVID
everybody
and
felt that. Yeah.
yeah, and
I think everybody felt that it was the right thing to do. I mean, COVID did play a role in it when the normal scene would be. So I live in Sarasota, Florida now. I used to live in Chicago, but all the action takes place out in Seattle, and we also did some stuff in Los Angeles. And so the normal scene would be for me to fly out for a few days,
to record.
to record and work on some stuff, come back a month later, fly out again, do some more stuff. Well, when COVID hit, obviously that boom, that was
Gone.
done. And all the studios were closed. For a while you couldn't fly even if you wanted to. And there was just no doing it. So it took a while for us. I have a little home studio here in my house. It's very modest, but it does the job. But we had to sort of gear that up to be able to match what we had already done in professional recording studios in Seattle. So
Yeah.
some new equipment had to be sent in. We had to set it up. I had to know what I was doing.
Come on, don't sell yourself short. I know your audio
well,
backers.
yeah,
Go.
yeah. But from a technical standpoint, Dan, sometimes that can be a challenge, But we
Hey,
were
you got
able to
on
get
this
it.
Zoom pretty well. Come
Well,
on.
there you go. Okay,
Come
well,
on.
so give me that. Yeah. But anyway, we got it all right. But the other part was, and I think the part that you're alluding to is when that teaser came out a year or so ago, wasn't really well received, and it
No,
caused
no.
everybody to take another look. And when they brought in Joe Staten, I think he was a great asset to, I mean, nobody understands the Halo story from start to finish as well as Joe Staten does. He was there from the beginning, and for him to to bring him in and sort of help recenter the thing, I think was a tremendous asset, and I think the fruits of that. And not that it was just Joe, but I think that, that's an example of going back to the drawing board. And one of the beautiful things about 343, and I've experienced this myself, and I've watched
You're right.
watched it in their dealings with the fans, is that they really listen to the fans, and that was part of it. And that it wasn't just then. I've seen it happen many times where fans will critique the game, or critique certain things that they see, and these people are like, well, maybe he's got a point. They'll go back and rethink it. And it's not that every idea gets put forward, but the fact that they listen at all is, I think speaks well of the franchise and speaks well of the company. So
I'm so happy for them because they've had a tough go for a few
yeah,
years there. So for both the multiplayer, the campaign to come together,
yes,
and because they deserve it,
absolutely.
definitely. I wanted to ask you. You just mentioned the teaser, so you know about Craig, of course.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
of course.
Just checking. You knew about Craig. There
Yeah,
we go.
yeah.
People were asking.
They made the right call on that one. you know, because when I first saw him, I was like, yeah, boy, I don't know. This guy needs a little work. but they did,
They did.
and
They did.
yeah.
Uh,
Now
hi,
now he's
Mister.
one scary son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is from Gary. Hi, Mr. Downs. May you describe the casting process when you first auditioned for the role of Chief? And did you ever imagine just how enormous of an impact your performance would have?
Well, Gary, no, the second part first, no, I had no idea. And not only did I not have any idea of the scope that this thing would take, I don't think anybody at Bungie really had any concept that this was going to be, what it ended up being. And so, so the casting process was unusual in that, as you know, Dan, my career was radio. Yeah, I was radio disc jockey for 40 some years.
Which is
And
impressive, mate.
thank
That's
you.
impressive.
You have to stay in this business for 40
Yeah, I
some
don't know how
years
you've done it, really.
just to stay, just to stay alive. But the strange thing about the radio business versus voice acting is one would think that they are a natural fit, right? That if you're on the radio, you'll probably do well in voiceover, and that is not the case at all. And in fact, the only job I ever booked as a direct result of me being on the radio was Master Chief. The only time that's ever happened in my entire career.
You'll take that one.
I'll take that one. Yeah. But it's, the thing was, I've auditioned for parts. So I was an FM rock DJ. That's what I did from the time I was 18 years old until about 5 years ago. And, but occasionally I go to my voiceover agent and we would, she'd give me an audition. And sometimes it would be for the role of an FM rock DJ. Okay. That's what I am.
Really?
I never,
wow,
ever once booked one of those jobs. Never. And, so, I tell you that story just to give you an idea of, how sometimes the connection doesn't, it's like this, it doesn't really meet.
Wow.
But in this case, Marty O'Donnell listened to me. He was a fan. He would listen to me on the radio. And he called through my agent. He called and asked me to do a character in a game that was about a year before Halo Combat Evolved came out, called Septerra Core. It was a small little PC game that I don't recommend anybody try to find because it really wasn't that good, and I was not that good in it. But it established a relationship between Marty and I. And then about a year later, he called again and said, well, we have this game.
Yep.
Would you like to do it? And the other unusual thing about it for me is that I never auditioned for it. He just
said, loved the voice. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was down between me and two other guys. He had decided it was me. And now this was all unbeknownst to me at the time, but it was like I said, the two unusual things about it were it directly related to my radio career, and I never auditioned for it. I just got it. So,
Oh, I've heard that story before, but it's a hell of a story, man. Yeah. Because without that call, where are we now? It's just bizarre.
Where am I? I'd still be on the radio in some small town in Iowa. That's where I'd be.
Oh, it was fate. Medieval Water. How many ants can you take on in a fight, Steve?
How many ants? I've never really pondered that question.
Yeah, that's
down here in Florida,
question.
And I think in Australia, you have red ants in Florida, don't you? Or in Australia, don't you?
Yeah, we got they're deadly. Ants. Some of them, they can get you.
Yeah. What I remember reading a book the first time I was coming to Australia. And I was reading a book, and the name of it.
How to Survive?
Well, it was kind of like that. And very early in the book, it says there's no place in the world that has more creatures that can kill you than Australia. And he starts listing all of them. The gator, the crocodiles, the jellyfish, the snakes, the spiders, the this, and the ants. all of that, and yeah. So I came to your country with some trepidation. But
It's
the
not
ant
that bad.
question, yeah, I love. No, I know it isn't. And although I was just telling a friend of mine this story last night, I was scuba diving off the Great Barrier Reef,
Oh,
and
nice.
I was floating around. This was several years ago, and I was floating around and came almost nose to nose with a jellyfish. And boy, you talk about an eye-opening experience. And try to swim away from a jellyfish, because the more you paddle like this, the closer you're bringing him to you. And we fortunately didn't get that close, but it was a little scary. But
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
but yeah, the ant question, I have no idea.
No, and I don't blame you. Caltech, please notice me, Chief. You've been noticed. There you go.
You have been noticed.
Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing in an interview? I think
Finishing,
that's
yeah,
a reference,
no,
yeah.
finishing this interview.
Scott Richards, you're awesome, Chief. If he'd say my gamer tag, it'd be an honor. Spartan1264.
Mm. Spartan 1264. I need a weapon.
If you guys do want a shout out from Steve, head over to his Cameo and get one and support him over there, because
Great
we
idea.
can't just keep doing.
We'd be
I got
here
to
all
ask him
night.
some questions, you guys. We could do this all day with the amount of
Yeah.
requests. James Earl Jones is Darth Vader's
Mm.
voice, just like you are
Mm.
Master Chief's. How do you feel not voicing Chief outside the games? Love your. I guess we touched on that a bit earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's a great reference with James Earl Jones. But as you know, they never revealed Darth Vader until the very end in what was it, Revenge of the Jedi, when you finally saw his
Revenge of
face,
the
and
Sith. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and that was the end of the well, that was the end of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that it is a good parallel. But they decided not to go that way, so let's give them a chance and see what they come up with.
Steve, how did Marty and Bungie originally get you in the shoes of Chief? Did you? We already answered that.
Yep.
Maxton, thanks for teaching me the value of making a promise, Steve.
Mm,
I like that.
you know me when I make a promise. Yeah, well, that's good. And I tell you what, if you got nothing else out of Master Chief and out of Halo, that's a good one to take away. When you make a promise, you keep it.
I love that. Steve, I want
Mm.
to just say thank you for making my childhood. That's from Diego. That's another one where how many times have you heard that? I've grown up hearing you, you've made my childhood. But I guess it is just a gift for you, isn't it? To hear that.
Well, it is a gift to me,
Yeah.
certainly. And the thing about it, Dan, and because of all these conventions and everything, I get to meet a lot of the people who enjoy the game, and not all actors get to do that. They don't. You don't get to
Not at
have
all.
that up close and personal interaction between the fan and the actor. And I've had quite a lot of it, and it has influenced my performance. In the latter games, having just like that comment that he just made about it, have it infected his child or be the voice of his childhood or whatever. I take those things with me when I go back to record, for the next round of Master Chief, and knowing, when you have an understanding of the depth that character can reach in terms of the fans, it has helped me in many ways in it. So I find it's kind of like a closed loop between the
Yeah.
fan and the actor, and we both feed off each other, and they, yeah, the fans have helped me considerably in being able, especially as we broadened out the story of Master Chief.
Is there a fan interaction? I know you've had thousands. Is there one that ever stands out to you that really touched you?
What's happening lately, Dan, and this is a result of the how long this story has been going on, 20 years. what I'm finding in the last several years, and certainly the last few conventions I've been able to do since the pandemic, um, is you hear these stories about uh, father and son bonding
Mm,
on the game, or even mother and son, or mother. I mean, I've heard a lot of those, and also the fact that there's been a lot more women come into the game. You know, in the early days, it was all just sweaty dudes. That's all it was. And now, the hygiene has improved, and we're finally getting some women into the picture. Both are very positive things, but uh, uh, but I mean, to see that generational thing
yeah.
happen is so cool. And then the other thing is the stories of people who, Halo was some refuge for them in an otherwise very unpleasant world. Either their personal life, or their, they were struggling with an illness or whatever,
Mm,
and Halo was that one thing that they could, dive into and escape all that. And I've heard that many, many times, and that's, a very, I mean, it's humbling, to be
mm.
honest with you. It's sort of a humbling thing to think that, you could play some role in helping somebody's life be a little bit better.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. It's amazing what this franchise has done
It
for
really truly
so
is.
many people. Eric here says, I had the pleasure of meeting Steve at Halo Outpost in
Mm.
Houston in the
Hmm.
restaurant in the convention center. You've left an enormous impact on my life and many others. Thank you, Steve.
You're very welcome. Did you pay my bill?
Did you? Yeah, I was going to say that as
we,
well.
we, we had a lot of fun with that Halo Outpost. We did, I think it was 6 shows, and it was gonna happen again the following summer, which would have been, this pat or 2020, and obviously the pandemic had other ideas. So I'm hoping that maybe next year or at some point we'll be able to revise that. Maybe get down your
Yeah,
way, and because
yeah,
it was a really, I mean, it was a convention, but it was only Halo. That was the only thing that was happening there, and it
yeah.
was pretty awesome. And they had some very, some pretty cool displays, and Jen and I had a great time, and there was a lot of the 3 4. Bonnie Ross was there, Kiki was there, Frank O'Connor. We had a really, really good time with that. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that again.
Well, look, I know you're a golfer, so I'll take you out for a game at Royal Melbourne when you come down next. All
Love,
right.
dude, I'll hold you to that. I will hold you to that for sure.
I know some people that can hook us up. Ari says, "What is your favorite Halo book, Steve?"
Oh, by far, it's The Fall of Reach.
Yeah,
That was the book that, that this is the thing about doing Halo. And one of the great benefits is, um, you have all this great source material that usually doesn't exist when you're voicing a character in a video game. And we had all this rich material. The Fall of Reach, I remember cracking that book open and thinking, oh, this is where this dude came from,
yeah,
because that would, that story was never explored with that kind of depth in the game. And so I really enjoyed it. The Fall of Reach, and then the Troy Denning books is another. Yeah, he's got a couple that I've actually done a little bit of
audio.
audio recording.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
no, I didn't record the whole book, but we
Okay.
would do, when the book would come out. I do a chapter or two just to tease that it was coming out. He's got a book called Silent Storm, which is an excellent one, and one or two others that he has a real good grasp of the Halo. What would you call it? Bible, the Halo.
Yeah.
Right, there's another one,
The
but yeah, the
the laurel.
the lore of it,
Yeah.
and then takes that in places that that I find a very compelling read. So I like his stuff a lot.
There's so much to explore, even in a DLC upcoming, because they've left it open in this game as well, and there's just so many options that like I'm really excited to see where they take it next.
We're not done, and that's for sure.
No.
It's going to be, the future looks infinite. Put it that way.
Well, are they sticking with this game for the next 10 years? Is that what I heard, or have I got that wrong?
I don't know the details of that, but it's going to be the only thing I'm fairly sure of is it's not going to be the usual track of every 4 or 5 years. There's now there's going to be a Halo 7, and then there's going to be a Halo 8. I don't think they're following that track, and I think I can't tell you exactly what it will be, but it's going to be different than that, and I think it's going to be more of a rolling story.
I'd love to see that.
Because
we still got spoilers. We still got Atriox to deal with,
Yeah, he ain't out of the picture,
And last time, I think he kicked your ass.
It didn't go wrong. Yeah, what was the line? Yeah, we met, we fought, he won. So there's some unfinished business there.
Yeah. Joshua says, I love your fantastic work, Steve. What was the hardest scene to get right in Halo Infinite? Thanks.
Wow.
Good question. I want
That's
to hear the answer to
great
this
question.
as well.
I don't
There's
know.
a lot of scenes.
I don't. Unfortunately,
could it be the final scene with Cortana at the end there?
Well, I think that was certainly because there were two different things going on with that. It's funny. I was just talking to Jen the other day, and we were talking. She had just watched the cut scenes, and we were talking about it. And I said, I personally, have a certain bit of melancholy that we may have seen the last of Cortana. And she was, well, really, the weapon is Cortana. I say, yeah, but as Cortana herself said in that game and in, I believe, Halo 4, or it might have been 5, she said, they might replace me, but it won't be me. You know that, don't you? And I get a little, as my Jewish friends say, I get a little verklempt. I felt that to be an emotional story because it is true. As this story develops, the chief, in one sense, has a new companion in the weapon. For all intents and purposes, she is Cortana, but she isn't. And it will be a different. Going forward, it will be a different relationship. It'll be, and even though she may look and act and may even be called Cortana, who knows?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, that ending scene is that alluding to her name being Cortana, or
I think that's the implication, but
could be changed.
But it could be. Yeah, they left the door open. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, which I liked, just to see what fans think. Float it out there. Because it's a big move, It's
Indeed.
What's the Chief's opinion on Atriox's way of introducing himself?
Well, a bit rough, wasn't he? A simple "how you doing" would have done. You didn't have to throw me all over the goddamn room. He's a force to be reckoned with. That's for sure.
He's what you call down under a tough bastard.
He's a tough bastard, all right. Yes, indeed.
Darklight Gaming, thanks, Steve, for being a part of our childhoods. Is Halo your favorite sci-fi universe, or do you have another one?
Great question. My favorite film of all time is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes, Steve. Yes. Great choice.
That was another life changer. To this day, and I watched it not too long ago. I got some special Blu-ray, whatever,
Yeah.
and I still get locked into it. And I've seen that more than I've seen any other film. And I can't tell you how many times I've watched it. And I just get locked into it. So that, in terms of a science fiction, making an impact on me. And I was 18 years old when that movie came out, and I can remember everything about
Did
being in the
you
theater.
you saw it in the
Yep.
cinema?
I saw it in the theater. I
Wow.
mean, the year it came out,
That's
and
crazy. Yeah.
I remember the girl I was dating at the time. I remember what I said to her, and she wasn't really a science fiction buff, and I came out of there with slack jawed. It was the most
Oh,
incredible
wow.
cinematic experience I'd ever had in my life, and she was like, "Really? you know, where are we going to dinner?" And but so that it moved me in a very big way. Halo, obviously, because of what's happened and my personal involvement in it,
Yeah.
it just. But I've Alien, the first two certainly were phenomenal films and science fiction stories. And speaking of 2001, I'm a big fan of Arthur C. Clarke and the work that he's done over the years. Isaac Asimov, and it's funny. I'm watching Foundation, which is Apple TV has
I
made
need to
into a
watch that. I've
series.
heard great things. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some pretty cool things that happening there, and
Mm.
so yeah, there's. I'm a big fan of a lot of that stuff, and I sort of love going into those worlds.
Great answer. I love it. FS1138. Can Steve comment on the original Halo 2 ending? Thanks for being
Hmm.
so awesome for the last 20 years.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, the funny thing was when Halo 2 first came out, all I heard was people bitching about the ending. They all were complaining about, you just left us hanging there and all that. Now it's everybody's favorite game. So,
Mm.
it's funny,
It's funny, isn't it?
sometimes you need, it's kind of like wine. You need to let it age. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. And there's been stories that have come out lately about uh, I hope I have this right. That
There was another
some
ending?
there was another ending, and that the other ending, because they really thought they were going to be done at Halo 2. They weren't really, Halo 1 was, then they were going to do Halo 2. There was not a big plan to do Halo 3. And so, for various reasons, a lot of changes were made in the game. And Halo 3 really was an extension of Halo 2, literally. Where Halo 3 went was what they thought how they were going to end Halo 2. They it ended up doing it as a cliffhanger to leave that door open, and
Yeah.
obviously, that turned out to be a smart play.
We've still got a bunch of questions here, Steve, but I know you got to go soon. Yeah, how much longer do we have you for?
I could take a couple more, but yeah,
Okay,
I do have to
beautiful.
jump off here pretty
Couple
soon.
more here, guys. Steve, I was diagnosed with COVID recently, unfortunately, but I've had Halo Infinite, and it's helped me fight the good fight. Thanks from Lee.
Excellent,
Hey,
excellent, Lee. Okay, hang in there, Lee.
hang in
Finish
there,
that
Lee.
fight, buddy.
Hey, Chief, huge fan. Which game story was your favorite of all the Halos? Ender Halo 3 is my favorite of all time. Thanks for taking the time with us. From Adam.
Absolutely. As I mentioned early on, Halo 4, for a lot of reasons, the story and Jen and I being able to work together were tremendous experiences for me. But like I said, let's let Halo Infinite season for a while, because that might take the top spot. It's too early for me to say yet.
Steve, is the flood coming soon? Promise I
Mm.
won't tell. There's only,
Well,
50,000 people watching.
yeah,
It's all good.
okay, yeah, sure. I feel good about telling him that. Uh, fortunately, the people at 343, I'm on a need to know basis, and I don't need to know yet. So, uh, I I don't know if the flood is in our future or not.
Do you plan on continuing to voice Master Chief? Of course he does. Are you
as long as
silly?
I can. I'm having as much or more fun now than in any period in the last 20 years. So, as long as they want me, and as long as I can do it, and as long as the story is compelling, I'm in.
We mentioned this before. John says, "What was it like having Joseph Staten back? That was amazing to have him back, wasn't it?"
It was amazing to have him back, and I think he, was integral in helping move the game along to where it's gotten. There are so many people involved that have, like I said, left their blood, sweat, and tears on the floor there to get this thing done. And Jill was certainly one of them. So.
Sarah, Chief, your ability to convey so much in a few words is a testament to your talent. I've always felt immersed playing as the Chief, even as a girl. Favorite character of all time. Thank you for everything. Please come to Melbourne, Australia soon.
I would love to come back to Melbourne. Is there a con in
There
Melbourne?
is a con. I'm going to talk to them, and we're going to get you
Right.
down next year, hopefully, if you're free.
All right, and then I'm going to cash in on that golf game.
You are. We're going to get out there. What are you playing off, Steve, by the way?
I'm sorry.
What do you play off? What's your handicap?
Oh, do I have to reveal that? Although
Okay,
I
you
will
can tell
tell
me
you
off
this.
air.
I will tell you that I play a little bit better golf than I do Halo. So put it that way.
That's good
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah.
Couple more here, Steve. Just want to say I've been a diehard Halo fan since I was a teen. Just finished Halo Infinite on Legendary. Loved it.
Great.
Thank you so much. Hey
Thank
there,
you.
Steve. Big fan of your voice work. My friend has yet to finish the campaign. You mind telling him to finish the fight?
Yeah. Finish the fight. Come on.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate you taking the time, mate. Everyone's
Dan,
really
this has
enjoyed
been,
it.
I've done a lot of interviews lately, and this has been, probably the most enjoyable. I appreciate
man.
your enthusiasm. I appreciate your enthusiasm for the game and your interest and knowledge in that. And no, this has been a gas. We should do it again.
I'd love to, mate. And everyone can find you on Instagram, Twitter, Steve Downs.
Yes. Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And you
Cameo.
mentioned Cameo. So yeah, please check those out.
And you're posting about you. If there's a con you've got coming up, you'll post it on there, won't you?
Yes. Yeah. The one that's most immediate will be for our friends in California, the SAC Anime. I have one coming up in Kansas City. There's a big one there, Planet Comic-Con.
Beautiful.
And yeah, I post those up there all the time. So if you're in the neighborhood, please by all means come out and see me, and we'll come back down under and revisit that. I look forward to that.
Beautiful, mate. Before I let you go, is there anything the Chief can say to Dan as we wrap this up?
Dan, wake me when you need me.
That's my favorite line too. Well done. Beautiful. Absolutely love it, man. Guys, follow Steve on all socials if you don't already, and finish the fight. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Steve. I appreciate your time, mate.
All right, Dan. Thanks. Great to be on your broadcast.
Have a great night, mate. Take care.
All right, my friend. Take care.
And there you have it, everybody. Wow. Not a bad compliment, hey? I've done a lot of interviews. You're not too bad, Dan. Yours might be the most enjoyed. Look, that's what you want to hear. Whoa. Thank you, guys. That was a blast. It really was.